Have you ever gone to get coffee with a friend who's going through a hard time in their life? You start out the conversation genuinely and empathetically trying to listen to what they have to say, and they open up and start talking. The more they talk, though, the more you can see the answer to their problems. You're familiar with this situation, either through your own personal experience or through a book you recently read on the topic. And so you feel this need to share everything you know about this topic with good intentions because you care about this person and you don't want to see them in pain anymore. The more that you talk, though, the more you see them shut down and close up, and you still can't help yourself because you feel this need to coach them and teach them through the situation that they're in. I've personally done this more times than I care to admit, and so I'm familiar with the outcome of this kind of scenario. Both of us leaving the conversation frustrated. My friend leaves frustrated and feeling like he wasn't heard, and I leave frustrated at myself for not being able to just shut up and listen. If you watch the one-on-one interactions that Jesus has in the Gospels, you see the exact opposite. And I think this is one of the most incredible things about Jesus. He was God incarnate. He knew the exact steps a person needed to take to get out of the mess that they're in life. And he really cared about their end state, about their ultimate health. And yet he never gave people the answers that they were looking for. He never gave them a list of steps to take to get out of their mess. He asked them questions and he let them talk while he just stood there and listened. Being heard heals a person emotionally. And this emotional healing is often a prerequisite to any mental, physical, or even spiritual healing that we need. It's only after somebody feels truly heard that they'll even be open to any solutions or action steps from you or from me. So practically, how do we hold space for someone else and be the friend that they truly need? Here's 3 things that you can implement today to become a better listener. For one, get all that content that's in your mind down onto paper. I found personally that my need to talk during a conversation with a friend is actually a need to clarify the ideas that are confused and tangled in my mind. I've found that if I can get all these ideas that are bouncing around in my head down onto paper in a journal, it scratches my itch to teach others, and I can be a good friend in conversation by just sitting there and listening. The second thing is to use prayer as a way to be heard personally. And I think this was Jesus' secret. He talked and talked and talked to God the Father, who just sat there and listened to him. And so Jesus felt heard. And because Jesus felt heard by the Father, he was able to sit there and listen and not talk over people, which we usually do because we have a need to feel heard. Now we have the same ability to talk to God the Father that Jesus did. And a prayer journal like the Joy Journal is a great way to 1, get mental clarity, and 2, feel heard by your Heavenly Father. Now 3, I want to give you a listening technique that you can apply during the middle of a conversation. It's called closing the loop. Now, this is a very simple technique, and all it requires is you repeating back what your friend says to you. So for instance, if your friend tells you, "I feel like I need a vacation," you respond by saying, "You feel like you need a vacation." Now be careful here, because if your friend feels like there's a hint of judgment or even a question mark at the end of it, they'll probably also shut down. So if you say something like, "You feel like you need a vacation," they're not going to open up anymore. But if you repeat it back to them the same way that they said it to you, they'll continue to open up, shedding emotional layers like an onion. You'll know you're doing it right when they say, "Yeah," and look at you astonished as if you said something really profound when all you did was repeat back what they just said. And so your job is to keep repeating back to them what they're telling you so that they'll continue to open up and go deeper and deeper. All you have to do is keep repeating back to them the essence of what they just said, and they'll continue to open up. Eventually, they'll stop and say something like, "Wow, you're a really good listener. I've never felt so heard in my whole life. Thank you." And at that point, they'll usually follow it up with something like, hey, do you have any ideas or suggestions I can do to get out of the situation that I'm in? And at that point, feel free to share the action steps that you wanted to share with them earlier.